why I quit my YouTube channel to 770,000 followers, and I decided to start from scratch. Big question. So there is lots of myths when it comes to social media, and there are loads of mistakes that are done throughout the way, because unfortunately, when it comes to understand how social media work, like YouTube or any other channel, is also a bit of a treasure hunt when it comes to finding the right information. In my case, is I started my channel as a fashion channel, and when you start a channel, I've done it with the Instagram too. When you're new, you're always focused on growth. How can I grow? How can I go viral? How can I get as many followers as I can? Because there is this misconception that as soon as you get 100 to 100,000 followers, automatically you will start generating revenue just because you have that amount of followers. And in reality, it really doesn't work like that. There's always like the amount of followers is also always associated, like high number of followers is always associated with a high earning. And it's not really like that, because when you focus on growing and going viral and trying to grow your audience, not necessarily you grow the right audience. So when then you decide to launch a product that doesn't match your own audience, then it's not going to be that easy. And therefore, there are so many lessons learned that you can actually take from that. So one of the things that I learned, for example, is like when I start a page now, I don't worry too much about the following count or things like that. I ask myself what I'm going to sell. That's the first question I ask. What I'm going to sell, how am I going to monetize this page? What's my product? Because you can't the other way around. You can't think about growing a channel and then getting the followers and then introduce a product, because you might, as I said, you might get you might have the wrong audience. Also, the videos that you're doing and the format of the video you're doing, they don't necessarily match what you're trying to sell. And also, so many creators go through a burnout. Because what happens is you work really hard, you grow your content, you grow your audience, and then all of a sudden when you try and monetize it, it's not that easy, and you invested an awful amount of time and effort and you are not getting much back. And the burnout comes, I think, when you don't get the results you wish, or financially becomes not sustainable, because creating content, it also requires some sort of investment, and if it's not returned to you, then you go through a burnout. So all these elements are very important to keep in mind. So the first thing to ask is, when you open a page, is what products I'm going to sell, how am I going to monetize this page, and the way you do it is all related to about what you do, your business, what you want to do. But once you decided that product, then you go about what type of content you're going to create, and then you decide the format, because also the type of content you create and the format which you express your content, that will also have an impact on the type of people you are going to attract. So there are different elements. So what you're going to sell, how you're going to sell it, and so in terms of like platforms and things like that, but also which format are you going to sell it in, because every niche I've studied in the last few years, they've got kind of different formats that they are pretty much more or less successful to to achieve what you want to achieve. So if you're deciding to go for cooking, for example, or if you want to do fashion, depending on what you're trying to sell with cooking or fashion, there'll be specific formats that will help you more compared to others. I'm not saying that you don't need to be original, because of course you need to be original, but there are certain formats that will bring you your results faster. So fashion, for example, if you're trying to sell clothes, there are certain formats in fashion that will enable you to work better on affiliate link compared to others. And all these things basically are kind of completely you don't think about it when you start growing a page, because you see this monster in front of you, and you're like, okay, I got this page, I want to grow fast, because you take for granted that growing fast is going to give you brand deals, it's going to give you whether the affiliate marketing is going to go, the way you want to, or the products that you will decide to launch at some stage will be successful. But it really doesn't work that way. So it's also what I found out, in the last few years, is quite fascinating, because there are people that have only 5, 6, 7,000 followers, even less than 1,000, and they are making a lot of money. They manage to generate a lot of revenue on their page. And there are people that maybe they're like on hundreds, thousands, and half of a million, or even a million follower, or they even have a million followers, and they just generating nothing. There is quite it was quite surprising to me at the time, because when you don't work in social media, or you starting working on social media, like you really don't know. And that's the common belief. The common belief is, this amount of money, this amount of followers equals this amount of money. If you want to launch your business, first thing to understand is, what's your product, which platform is the best to, also because YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they work really differently in terms of sales and what you're trying to achieve. So when it comes to the product and the business you want to pursue, maybe some platforms are better than others, depending on what you're trying to achieve. And then also there is the other aspect of it. There's some platforms, of course, as YouTube, you not only earn selling a product, but you will also earn per view, while maybe Instagram doesn't offer that, but then Instagram will offer a different audience. It really depends on what you're trying to do. These are all elements that come together. But it's very important to ask yourself a question before even started what you're going to try to sell, because it's all fun and games at the beginning, but after a few years, you might risk to get burnout. This is one thing. And also another important thing is to be able to create a strategy that works, because I hear all the time, these digital gurus and people that got agencies and things like that. You only need an hour a day. No, you don't. It doesn't work that way. But if you're starting and you want to grow, and you are growing a channel and you're working on social media with the aim of making money, is not an hour a day. It's not, unless you want to spend about 3 years to build it. If you want to see some results in 6 months, or less than a year, you got to work on it. There is no such thing. I hate when I hear it all the time, you only need an hour a day. No, you don't need an hour a day, because you might need an hour a day to create the content, but to understand what works, what doesn't work, it takes loads of research, and we will get into that in other videos. But it takes loads of research to understand how what's trending, how you should how it works if you want to get more views, and how to, again, learning how to edit, format. At the beginning, it takes quite a long time, and then, as I said before, every platform works differently. YouTube works differently from Instagram and TikTok, so there'll be different formats that work better on different platforms. So there's a lot to learn, and it's not an hour a day. It really isn't. I built my business when I had a full-time job, and I was working on it from 5, 6 in the evening until 11, 12 a.m. Every day, and it took me a while to grow it, to understand where I had to look at, what I wanted to do, where to head. It takes a while, and all the editing skills too. If you do short form videos, and you want to kind of stand out, there is some editing skills you need to learn. So it doesn't take, this is another myth, this doesn't really take an hour of your time to learn a business. Depends on the speed you want to go. I mean, you can spend an hour a day and it will take you quite a while to build it up, but volume makes a difference at the beginning, because if you want to learn what works and doesn't work, the only thing you can know it is through volume. You push out as much as content as you can and see how it works. And then you learn from there, and then you keep pushing out. Then when you know how it works, depending on how much effort you put in, then yes, you can post a video once a day, and it will give you the result. And yeah, in that case, it might take you an hour, but before you get there, there's a lot to learn. So yeah, it's quite an interesting journey when it comes to social media. I'm going to do a deep dive on different social media platforms, how you can monetize on YouTube, how you can monetize on Instagram, how you can monetize on TikTok, and give you all my advice and personal experience on it. The next one will be the common myths that are here when it comes to social media and how they impact daily activities. I do one-to-ones to help other small businesses to achieve their potential, and to also give some feedbacks on the social media pages, what they could do, what they could add to the pages to improve. Also, I offer one-to-one consultation if you want to have your feedback on your business, if you're stuck and you don't understand why, if you want to change things and you want some advice, check the link below. I do one-to-ones to help other small businesses to achieve their potential, to improve, and what I think is going to work long term and what isn't. So the link is below. Keep watching because there'll be more videos. We'll do some deep dive in each platform and how they work.